This is The Breakaway. To those watching on Twitter, Facebook or YouTube, welcome along. Elia Viviani with the win on stage 4, and it's his teammate Julian Alaphilippe who remains in the yellow jersey. It is a good day to be on De Koning Quick-Step. Well, Adam and Brian are here to look back on the 4 days of racing so far. And Adam, Elia Viviani with the win. We saw his head fall off, if you like, at the Giro D'Italia after he was disqualified. Today, though, looked like a confident, assured victory. That was a sprint that was delivered on the back of knowing his team believed in him, wasn't it?
Definitely, yeah. I think after yesterday, I think Alaphilippe, you know, he's delivered an amazing ride yesterday. He's taken the yellow jersey, the biggest jersey in bike racing. He's got the best team in the world leading him now. And you know, what's not to love about yesterday? It's Alaphilippe. He's a Frenchman in yellow. What that is going to bring to the team is what we all know already here. It's going to bring the best atmosphere. It's going to bring positivity into the team. And he strived off it today. He won the bike race and he won it confidently. He waited until he had to go at the right moment. He didn't do any mistakes. He just followed his team, put his head down, concentrated on that wheel and did what he had to do. And, yeah, amazing.
I think you could say he did what he was told. Stay on the wheel of Ricchesi this time and you'll win. We've seen this in other tours.
That simple, Brian.
I know.
Sometimes it is.
Well,
do what you're told. Let him speak.
Well, it looked more simple today than anything. You know, I followed him this year in many of the races, and he keeps on doing what Sagan does, jump from wheel to wheel. And if he just stays, every time he stays on the lead-out train, he gets the win, and he's got probably arguably the biggest win of his career. But what I have to say, on the flip side of this is Groenewegen and Jumbo-Visma. We've been putting them up there since we started this race. And I'm thinking that Groenewegen was out of sorts today. He even gave up before the line. Tunisian was sprinting. They were all over the place, but it could play in your mind. And Adam, he crashed in the first stage. Do you think that had an indication on this sprint today?
No, I was saying this to Rob earlier in the comms box, is that you don't see teams doing a lead-out these days. You see one team doing a lead-out, and then you see teams behind positioning themselves behind that team. And today, they weren't the team doing the lead-out. They should have been, but they weren't, and that's where they went wrong. As soon as they lost position, they're a little bit back, 1.8 after the long corner there. They were too far back, and they lost each other. They're never going to come back from that.
What I'm saying is, Wout van Aert was there at that pinch point. Tunisian was there, and in commentary, Carlton mentioned it. Further back was Dylan Groenewegen. He was the person that wasn't there. So why did he lose that lead out? Was it because he crashed in that first stage and maybe lost his bottle a little bit? We don't know that. We don't know until we ask him, but they got it completely wrong, while De Koning Quick-Step got it completely right.
There's a few other things as well. Is that if you see Mike Turnison coming up, he's lost the wheel already, but he's still trying. He's still trying for that 5th place. And I wonder in his head if he's thinking, oh, I just want a Tour de France stage in a sprint. I mean, things might be going through his head. He might have tried to negotiate another contract now. He's won this stage, and the team is saying, no, look, we'll wait. And he might be going, this is my chance in my career. This is my breakthrough. I need to make the most of it. This is just me trying to add a bit of drama, but you never know what might happen.
Going.
Yeah, but this might be the case. Like, why else would you keep sprinting in that case?
Well, possibly because of chaos. I mean, in this finale for the sprint on stage 1, he didn't know what had happened to Groenewegen until very close to the end. He didn't know he had the chance to sprint until he could go for it. Possibly he didn't see him there and thought, well, maybe I need to go for it again just in case.
I know Groenewegen is just thinking of the win, but you don't sit up with, 20 metres to go. You go to the line and sit up, and if I'm looking at that, and I know my teammates may be looking at that, you don't do that. Now it's a difficult time for the sports director. He has to lift this team up because they got it totally wrong. They got it brilliantly right at the weekend, totally wrong today, and they'll have to be lifted up again.
Let's hope Addy's not in the car.
We'll not go there on the Tour de France, not yet anyway. But isn't it a funny and brutal sport? And we're saying that Jumbo-Visma will have to lift themselves up after winning 2 stages, after having the yellow jersey. I just briefly want to ask you about Brian's point, though, Adam, because you know what it's like inside a sprint train. Is it a case that Elia Viviani simply followed orders, that he did follow his sprint train rather than trying to do a Peter Sagan and jumping from wheel to wheel? What happened? How did he get it right?
He followed him. Yeah, I think
he did what he was told.
Yeah, I think he knows what's best for him, and I think in this situation, like Elia said yesterday, I listened to him in an interview, and he said, I learned from the other day in the sprint, I was too far back, normally I can move up later, and he's learned from that today. He's done it perfectly. He's got behind his team from a long way out. He's stayed with them, not moved on it, and it's a weird thing when you get on your team like 5k to go. you're already in the mix before you're jumping from wheel to wheel, and that's naturally you'll keep doing that as a rhythm. If you get on your team's wheel with 60k to go, that's you locked in. You're not going to move from it until it's ready, basically.
Remember
and you get
the Giro.
aggressive with
Remember the Giro, and we were looking at Sabatini was going, and he wasn't going with his lead out. He was choosing to pick for himself to pick the right wheel to go on, and he kept on picking wheels. Okay, he won, but he was disqualified when he got it right. Today, he just used his team to perfection, and he even says it himself. Christoph was up there, but Christoph was sprinting from about just outside 200 metres to go. Viviani only had to sprint from about 180. That makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And still a fantastic result for Christoph, and to be so close given that effort. Isn't it wonderful, though, that 4 stages in, 2 sprints down, and we still don't know if there will be a dominant sprinter at this year's Tour de France. I think that's exciting. What is in store for tomorrow? Well, Matt White has been chatting to Matt Stevens.
Matt White, very, very different parcours this year. Day done for the sprinters, but tomorrow a really lumpy, difficult stage through the Vosges. How do you see that panning out?
Yeah, look, I think it's the first sort of semi-challenging stage in the medium mountains. It could go a couple of ways. With Alaphilippe in the yellow jersey, they will really want to keep the jersey. And he's probably their best chance, even for a stage win tomorrow. Because I think if anyone pushes hard on those final couple of climbs, I think it will get rid of the pure sprinters. And we will put Viviani in that category. So they've got two options. One is obviously to keep the yellow jersey with Alaphilippe, and if it goes really slow, which I really don't think so, then they'll have a reduced group sprint. I can't see a big group arriving at the finish line tomorrow.
So tomorrow's just all about protecting Adam and keeping him as fresh as possible, and sensing and maybe going for any opportunities?
Yeah, look, it depends what happens in the final there. We've got a couple of fast guys. If it's a reduced group sprint, I think the bunch sprints, we're not capable of winning the pure bunch sprints with our guys, and that wasn't the plan. But I think guys like Darryl Impey and Trentin, if it's reduced, could have a good chance. But again, that'll depend on how hard those last 2 climbs are.
Now, the GC riders, all they want is a quiet start to the race. How is Adam feeling? We haven't heard much from him, but I guess that's a good thing.
It is. It is a good thing. No news is good news. And we've got through these first couple of days unscathed, and that's always a bonus in the first week of the tour. But yeah, it's been a little bit uneventful, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Today could have been a lot different day. I think what changed today, the dynamic of today a lot, is because Quick-Step had the yellow jersey. I think if they didn't have the jersey today, because obviously they're the best team or one of the best teams in the world at crosswind riding, and if they put a lot of heat on today, that would actually put Alaphilippe in a bit of trouble. But anyway, they got the best result possible. They won the stage. But I think them having the yellow jersey certainly influenced the style of the race today.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, as ever.
Cheers, mate.
Well, let's just show you how the GC looks then after stage 4, and there is no change at the very top. Julian Alaphilippe remains the home hero in the Maillot Jaune. Wout van Aert, Steven Kruijswijk, the top ranked of the GC contenders. Bernal, Thomas up there as well, and the one change really is that Wilco Kelderman is still there. We've got a bit of a rogue information. Well, we wanted to chat about transfers, because at the Tour de France, the transfer window, as we would call it rather loosely, is not yet open. However, what I love doing is wandering around the team buses in the compound at the end of a race and seeing all the agents flitting from bus to bus and feeding one rumour to one DS to another, and everyone is doing their little deals. And so we get a lot of newspaper reports as to who may be going where. Now, one of those reports, until today at least, was that Elia Viviani could be going to Cofidis and leaving De Koning Quick-Step. What do we think about that now, Adam?
It's not going to happen. I think he's rumoured to go a few places, but I think, Ellie's going to wait for this tour to decide, I think, what happens, really. I think if he wins another stage here, it's not another 0 on his contract, but it's another fair bit of cash on his contract. So he's going to definitely wait, and he's not going to rush his decision. It's not going to a team. Okay, on paper it's simple, but going to a team and being successful still is very hard. You've seen the likes of Marcel Kittel going to Katusha after being in Quick-Step and he wasn't successful. So it's making sure you make that right decision. And Elliott's not going to make a daft decision. He's a bike racer and he wants to win, and he'll go to a team where he can definitely do that.
He had 18 wins for De Koning Quick-Step last year, 7 wins so far this year, one of them being a Tour de France stage win. However, you would imagine that De Koning Quick-Step are going to dig deep in their pockets maybe to keep Elia Viviani now.
Yeah, I think so. He's really fitting now, and this made a huge difference for him. You got to remember that these agents, the sole purpose is to make money. and not all of them do the best by the riders. I've had to deal with them in the past. They put them in for the best contract, as simple as that. They want to make money, the rider wants to make money, and what they do at this point of the year, especially in the biggest bike race in the world, they create these rumours, they create these things happening because they want to raise the profile of the rider. They want the other teams to think, oh, Viviani's going to cough it. Oh, right, we need to sit down with you. They do it a lot of the time in the rest days. And when you're sitting there and going, oh, I've got all these offers, you can see the press, you can see the speculation, and all they're seeing is Euro signs in front of their eyes.
Yeah, they like the touch paper. We fan the flames, and it's all good fun anyway. But if Viviani does remain at Dumoulin and Quick-Step, what does that make for the rumour that Sam Bennett could be going there? We had a tweet in from Jonathan Stokes saying, nothing is making me more excited than the prospect of Bennett at Quick-Step. The boy deserves it.
We should definitely do this like a game show where you roll these off and we just go,
A big tick or a big X. That's another no.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You.
I think that Sam, I think he's in a good place where he is, and I think going to Quick-Step...
Despite the fact that he has been left out of the Giro D'Italia squad, despite the fact that he's been left out of the Tour de France squad, he is the national champion. He had been the most successful sprinter in the world this year and hasn't had a chance to prove himself at the very top level.
Yeah, I think Sam's one of these people that he wants to perform at the top level, but he also loves winning bike races. It doesn't matter what bike race it is, he's still winning bike races. So that's the important thing for Sam, and I think if he's doing that successfully where he is, it doesn't really matter what team he goes to as long as he can keep winning. I think, you know, doing the Tour it's a massive thing, but going to Quick-Step, Ellie has not decided where he's going to go yet, and he's not going to take that risk, go, I'm going to go to Quick-Step, and then say, by the way, Ellie is staying. You'd be like,
because
you
could do a sprint equivalent of Mikel Landa, couldn't you, where you're playing backup at Team Sky and then you're playing backup at Movistar. You've got to make sure that the move is right, don't you?
Exactly. And Sam, like Adam says, he's winning bike races, and that's all they want to do. Okay, at the top, they want to be here at Tour de France. Well, Sagan's here, and he's the main man. So it's very difficult, but Sam, I think, would be best to stay with Bora. He's been there for the last few years. It does him good. If he moved away to another team, would he win as many? That's what you have to ask yourself, and that's what's going through the head of these guys that want to move. Will I do as well with another team? Is it just for the money? Well, money's great, but these guys want to win.
OK, so what about the rider we would have expected to be talking about today, who even in his absence has dominated an awful lot of discussion? Mark Cavendish. We've had a tweet from Maxi Lopez. Where is Cav off to? Bahrain, question mark. Marianne at 1979 also asking that question, and I would assume that speculation is possibly coming from the fact that Rod Ellingworth is going to head up the new Bahrain team.
Rod has taken Geraint Thomas with him, Egan Bernal, Tom Dumoulin.
Talking about fanning flames, there are no flames you're fanning. That is you lighting the fire right
Tom
there.
Tom Dumoulin, Dylan van Baarle, basically the whole Tour team that's here. He's taking with him, plus Cav. And Bradley's going to come back and be DS. So we've lost him here, but we're all right.
You heard it here first. I'm not sure I'm trusting your predictions anymore, Adam, somehow. No, Cavendish, where's he going to go?
We don't know with Cav. I don't know what situation he's in with the team at the moment. Obviously,
this is a one-year contract, I understood, that he signed with Dimension Data, so he is up for renewal or going somewhere else next year. It
is, and I don't think we know with Cav. I think Cav needs to sit down, assess where he's at in his career and make a decision what he's going to do. Is he going to look at doing the Madison at the Olympics next year? And how, if he is what's the best way to do that? Which team is going to help him do that? So there's a lot of things that you can speculate about Cav, but at the end of the day, no one has any idea apart from Cav and his agent and his missus and probably Rod.
So a few people. Katusha Alpecin are looking for a sprinter, Brian.
Yes, they are maybe losing some riders.
Nobody wants to say anything now for fear of being completely wrong.
The thing about Cav, there was a bit of speculation last year with the McLaren connection. It didn't happen last year, and I think it's a good fit, especially with Rod Illingworth. That could happen. I think it would be a good fit for them because they've got Sonny Colbrelli, but Sonny Colbrelli is a completely different sprinter. So they definitely have to look at it. I'm a fan of Cav, and I think this Tour de France stage is still left in him. And
the main thing for Cav is going somewhere. It doesn't really matter what team he goes to. It's having a team that supports him and believes in him still. Because he's definitely in a place now where he's in a team where they don't support him and believe in him. Because if they did, he'd be at the Tour right now, and he's not. So that's where Cav needs to go. Somewhere where he can go, he can be believed in, he can be backed, and he will know what he's doing and have confidence in what he's doing and not questioning the team's decisions. So I think that's the main thing for Cav. But There's 21 World Tour teams. You could
the thing
go 20
about
of them.
Cav, he needs to get back to winning bike races. As simple as that. He's getting sidetracked by falling out with team owners and all this rigmarole around it. He just has to get simple again and just go from A to B, as Brad says, and win the bike race. That's it, as fast as he can.
I love how you simplify this bike racing. All you have to do is ... We do have another rumour that's come from our journalist colleague Peter Cossins, who's tweeted to say the latest one he's heard in the press room, it's true actually, is Dumoulin to ride for Jumbo and Roglic to Bahrain. Dumoulin to ride the Vuelta for Jumbo and Roglic to Bahrain. What do you make of those?
This year's Vuelta.
Well, that's what Peter Cossins is saying. That is the buzz of the press room at the moment.
Well, I'll be surprised at that if he does or not. But yeah, I mean, great if he does. But I think it's I don't know how that would sit with Giant. I'm sure that there's a lot of contract things they'd have to look at. But it would be a strange move for him to move that late into the season. But maybe the strangest things have happened. I
spoke to for different reasons. I spoke to Tom Dumoulin's agent last year and I asked the question, like I always do, is there any way that he could get out his contract? And he said there's always a way for the right reason. No, for the right reason, Tom Dumoulin can go. No, it's not always money, because I think for the right reason, having to come to the Tour de France and been able to build his own team, that's what I think he's looking for. He wants to win the Tour de France. That's the best reason.
But that's the other thing as well, though. They've invested in Groenewegen, they've invested in Wout van Aert. Yeah. They're going to have a split team again.
If Roglic were to go to Bahrain, though.
It's true, but you're still going to have Groenewegen here. You're still going to have 3 guys that are still here for Groenewegen. And where he is now, we heard about Bling complaining at the start with Sunweb saying
Michael Matthews.
Yeah, Michael Matthews saying that he's come here to look after Tom Dumoulin. So all the stuff about him being in the right team where he can build a team, it's built, it's there. If you don't like something about the way it's run or something, he needs to change something else. But I don't think he's going to go to another team and just automatically have, here's your team, there you go, because something's got to give.
You can't do that. We're talking about Mark Cavendish, and we have to mention Philip Gilbert left out the Duconi Quick-Step team.
His contract is up at the end of this year as well.
How do you think he's thinking? You know what I mean?
It's all relative.
Is he going to go, well, my team, one of the biggest Belgian teams, you never took me to the Tour de France. I wanted to go. I'm gutted. I'm going to go to the other big Belgian team. No kind of fingers pointing, but someone else rides for that team. Is he going to go there? That's the question.
I don't know. It's a long. There's rumours, obviously, but I think it would be. Phil going back to that team, he had the most successful year he's ever had on a bike in that team. So going back to it, I wouldn't put him past it. I've not spoken to him about it. But there's a few rumours about coming to our team. John Degenkolb's another one who's rumoured to come.
Your phone's buzzing, by the way, of people phoning you.
I know, yeah.
Renewing the contract.
Exactly. I'll do that deal, lads, don't you worry.
So where's Adam Blythe going next year?
Can't tell yet.
That is the question. He's saying in Eurosport for now, at least. None of the riders are going anywhere. Well, they are. They're going to Colmar for the end of stage 5. So let's show you what they have in store on the next stage of the Tour de France. It's a slightly shorter stage on stage 5, just 175.5 kilometres from Saint-Dié-des-Vosges. It should be a punchier day than today, with 2 Category 3 climbs and 2 Cat 2s with another flat run into the finish. Well, if you've missed any of today and want a handy summarised version, then we have the stage highlights on Eurosport 1 tonight at 8 o'clock, and we will be back at the usual time of 11:15 tomorrow. And again, that is live on Eurosport 1. And if you're missing Sir Bradley Wiggins, who isn't, he will be back. But in the meantime, you can spend some time in his company by downloading and listening to the Bradley Wiggins podcast. Well, it was a classically rolling stage at the Tour de France on stage 4. Hypnotic to follow from afar. And Elia Viviani, the master magician. We are expecting at least a sprinkle of magic on stage 5. Join us then.